Chris Eubank Jr. to fight Canelo Alvarez. Let's get into this one. Hello, welcome to Tommy Eds. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Chris Eubank Jr. has been in the news once again. He's just signed with boxer Ben Shalom, and now there's a bit of confusion because all of a sudden, not really sure whether he's going to fight Canelo Alvarez or indeed was he ever going to do that. Now, reports are coming out that Chris Eubank Jr. is saying, look, I've got the pick of the fights. I've got Canelo. I could have Conor Benn, Terence Crawford. He's just picking names out of the hat. You know, picking names out of the hat is one thing. Calling out names is one thing. But actually stepping into the ring is something completely different. So this thing with him and Canelo Alvarez, this came out a couple of weeks ago where Canelo Alvarez's team kind of said, no, we're in discussions with Chris Eubank Jr. This is all before the boxer announcement was made. And this is all to fight Canelo Alvarez in September in Las Vegas, I believe. They're trying to find somebody to, well, put a bum on a seat, pretty much. Now, we're not calling Chris Eubank Jr. a bum, but you know what I mean? It's just a name to fill the roster, as it were, to fill the card. It doesn't seem as if Canelo Alvarez is picking the best fighter out there, the most challenging fighter. No, he's hand-picking his opponents so that he can just keep on ticking over those wins, getting those unanimous decisions, let's say, improving his record, and then he just keeps on fighting, almost like easy fights. I'm not saying terribly easy fights, but they're not exactly really hard fights. Now we know the hardest fight for Canelo Alvarez is Benavidez, of course. Everybody wants to watch that. Everybody wants it, can't wait for it. But it's likely never going to happen, especially with Canelo Alvarez calling the shots, and especially who he wants to pick. Now, obviously, this is bolstered up Chris Eubank Jr.'s credentials, let's say, or his reputation. Oh, yeah, you know, I can get him with a ring with Canelo Alvarez. But how realistic is this going to happen? And how do we rate his chances? Well, I've got to say, well, not that much, really. I mean, even though I think Canelo Alvarez is past his best, way past his best, Chris Eubank Jr. isn't a spring chicken anymore. He's 34 years old, he's had 36 fights, and he's 33-3. So a decent, no doubt, record, but he hasn't actually always fought right at the top level. He kind of went off on tangents too many times, and he hasn't been active enough for me in the last few years. So he last fought last September against Liam Smith, who he beat. That was the return fight, the rematch, as it were, when Liam Smith knocked him out, and that was in January. He basically only had 2 fights last year. 1 loss, 1 win. In 2022, he only fought once. In 2021, he fought twice. 2020, he didn't fight at all, but then that maybe have something to do with the COVID era as well. 2019, he fought twice, and 2018 twice. I mean, he's basically been looking at 2 fights a year. Now, for me, he needed to be doing a lot more than that, and certainly in the last few years, he needed to be fighting a lot more. I know there was the big fight with Conor Benn, which obviously was cancelled because of the Conor Benn situation, of course. But I'm not sure that Chris Eubank Jr. has the right quality and the right record to get into the ring with Canelo Alvarez. It doesn't seem to be the right challenge for either fighter. I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. will stick a chance against Canelo Alvarez. I don't think it's a big enough challenge for him. I think Chris Eubank Jr. needs to be looking at maybe a domestic fight and maybe another Liam Smith type fight that will get the juices flowing. That will get the British boxing fans really up for this fight. And now that he signed with Boxer, maybe that's the way it's going to go. Maybe he still wants to have his title shot. Maybe he still wants to get into the ring with Canelo Alvarez. But maybe that's unlikely to happen. Now, it could be that there's an issue with broadcasters, that, you know, the whole politics thing with boxing. You know, he signed up with Boxer. He knows who he's signing up with. It's not as if this is all alien to him. So there's got to be something going on behind the scenes. Or maybe there's some kind of clause in the contract to say, no, he can have this Canelo Alvarez fight and still be with Sky or continue with Sky and Boxer thereafter. So whilst you sign for Boxer, we don't know if this is immediate or whether it can be deferred until after the potential Canelo Alvarez fight. But anyway, the drama with Chris Eubank Jr. always seems to continue, always seems to roll on. Let us know your thoughts. Is he good enough to take on Canelo Alvarez? And what's Canelo Alvarez playing at? Shouldn't he really been fighting Benavidez? And really, shouldn't Chris Eubank Jr. be sticking it on somebody back on home shore? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos, and I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now. So Derek Chisora beats Joe Joyce last night on points. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to me, Ed. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So I'm on an away day here, but I just had to make this video after watching last night Derek Chisora beat Joe Joyce in their epic slugfest, their war of attrition, as it was. Many people call it the slugfest, of course. Two heavy hitters. They were both catching each other. And you could say that Joe Joyce really didn't capitalise on when he was hurting Derek Chisora, because he was hurting him a lot in many of those rounds, let's say from the 6th, 7th and 8th, maybe even from the 5th. He was catching Derek and he was hurting him, and Derek was slowing down, and then he seemed to come back, but he was always catching Joe Joyce with that overhand right. He was going to the body a lot. I noticed Derek Chisora was going to the body a lot, trying to, cut down the tree, as it were, from the roots. But he just kept on hammering away, kept on going, sometimes the left hooks, many times the overhand right. But Joe Joyce just kept on popping out the jab, and he was catching Derek and hurting him. I think that the heavier hitter was Joe Joyce. He just wasn't doing it enough. He wasn't capitalizing enough. But where the fight was won, and this is where I said in a preview, where I thought Derek Chisora would win, because ultimately he's the better boxer, and he proved that he was the better boxer. For me, whilst the two elder statesmen, and whilst many believe that Derek Chisora, myself included, should be retired by now as well, and where I don't think Joe Joyce has got anywhere to go now, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But where the fight was won and where it was lost at Joe Joyce is that he had no upper body movement, whereas Derek Chisora was bobbing and weaving, and all the time. He had lots of upper body movement, a bit more ring IQ on the last couple of rounds. Whilst he knocked Joe Joyce down in the 9th, he also started to go on his bike a little bit as well, to evade and just to stay in the fight and not get caught as well. He was thinking about the fight a lot more, thinking about the decision, thinking about how far ahead he was in the fight, because he kept on catching Joe Joyce. And this is what we said about Joe Joyce before, is that he's so open, and they're both really open, of course, but he's so open to any kind of attack. And Derek Chisora just caught him time and time again. They were both getting caught. They were both getting hammered in there. But what a great spectacle, what a great entertaining fight. Two elder guys who you would think, well, where is their career really going? Joe Joyce really needed to win this, and win this convincingly. I wasn't impressed with his last outing against Cash Ali after those two defeats, Zhili Zhang, of course. But he didn't impress again, and his whole, the way he was fighting, the way his mobility, it just wasn't all right. And you know that even if he'd come through Derek Chisora, if he tried to go to another opponent, he'd get found out really quickly. As certainly an opponent of of a certain level, let's say. But again, Derek Chisora, hats off to you, because you really put it to Joe Joyce. You stayed in there. It was a war of attrition. It was last man standing, and you did it. It was great. It was great tactics. You went to the body. You kept on catching Joe Joyce where he was open. You were taking your licks as well, but you were evading. You were bobbing and weaving. A bit more movement. There was more circling movement from from Derek Chisora, whereas, as I say, Joe Joyce had nothing. There was no movement at all. It was just, straight on, and he just popping the jab. He's going straight down the middle all the time. It was open for lots of uppercuts there from Joe Joyce, especially when Derek Chisora was bobbing and weaving a little bit. He tried to pull it off a couple of times, but he just kept on missing. He was missing quite a lot as well, Joe Joyce. But, it was going to the 9th. He got caught on the chin, and he went down. He went down again, but that was more of a slip, or it was more of he just fell backwards, lost his balance. I don't know what that was, Joe Joyce. But, Derek Chisora, for me, worthy winner, unanimous decision. Now, where did both fighters go? I still say Derek Chisora should retire. He should retire. That was a heavy, heavy fight to fight. If he wants to go on for another one, I mean, who's going to stop him, really? But somebody should be stopping him now. So, right, you've proved all the doubters wrong. Just go now. Just go and live your life, as it were, for your own health, for your own sanity, for your own health, for your own future health. But for Joe Joyce, where does he go now? You could argue that his career is in tatters now. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But what a fight. Really entertaining, really lots to pick out of that fight. And yes, it was of a certain level, of course it was, but regardless, it was a great entertaining spectacle. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And hopefully I'll be back in the studio very soon. Bye now. Jake Paul is an embarrassment to boxing. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Tommy Edson. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So a few days have passed since the Jake Paul-Mike Perry fight in Florida, and I've got to say it's a bit of an embarrassment. Now, this is not necessarily aimed at Jake Paul himself in his current level of boxing, but more so in the strategy that he's employing, and also how he actually rates himself as a boxer. Now, I've said this for a long time. Go back and watch all my videos. I've always sung the same tune. If he's serious about boxing, he should be fighting boxers, and boxers of improving standards, let's say better standards. It's his own words who says he wants to be world champion, and he respects boxing, and it's all about boxing. Well, if this is all about boxing, then you're going about it completely the wrong way. What you are doing, or what he is doing correctly, is a fantastic business strategy. He's using the boxing arena, the boxing ring, as a way to maximize a viewing audience, or the pull of a viewing audience, by engaging with big names. So you're going after big name MMA fighters. You're going to draw that crowd in. Hopefully, they'll have something about them that will make it quite a realistic competition, and then you get them into the ring, and then you just put them away. So here we have another case of Jake Paul going after, an ex-MMA fighter, but obviously now he's BKFC, Mike Perry, okay? Platinum Mike Perry, the king of violence, or the king of pain, or whatever he calls him. Look, I could have told you this, and I did. I think I have said this in repeated videos or live shows. Mike Perry is not a boxer. He's a brawler, he's a fighter, granted, but he's not a boxer. There's no way that you could put him in a ring with any standard boxer and expect him to get out there. Now, not only is he not a boxer in terms of a certain level, but also he's way lighter than Jake Paul. So it's always stacked in Jake Paul's favour. The last few fights he had were against boxing nobodies, really, who were well past their prime and basically just gave away the fights, really. I mean, you allegedly, who knows, right? And so they were easy wins. Oh, so we ticked that box because you went after boxers, but they weren't a good standard. The whole point is, if you're going to go on this pathway to become world champion, like you keep on telling us, or you've told us in the past, you shouldn't be having these gimmick fights. So that's why he's an embarrassment. It's the strategy which he's employing. It's a gimmick, right? Now, as for Mike Perry, right, look, he lasted 6 rounds. He was in there. He had 1 round, which I thought I'd give it to him. But he stood upright, chin in the air. It's almost like at times he was hands down, chin in the air, just trying to walk forward like this. And other times it was almost like it was fighting Victorian dad. It was a little bit like this. And it was painful to watch. The flip side of that was Jake Paul. He's so wide open. He has these wide looping right hands that were connecting with Mike Perry all the time, who couldn't see them coming, right? And he was just, you're so open that every time he just telegraphs all the time like this. So the whole of his body, whole of his head, whole of his body is completely open. Any boxer worth their salt will be able to exploit this so quickly, and that's the problem. The problem is that Jake Paul, if you're just talking about Jake Paul as a, you know, an influencer boxer, you say, wow, yeah, that boy can fight. Yeah, fair play to him. He's a good little boxer there at that level, right? But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about somebody who's supposed to be on a boxing pathway, who's supposed to be, by his own words, going for world titles. He's never going to get anywhere near it. He's certainly never going to get anywhere near it if he keeps on fighting the likes of Mike Perry and all the other MMA fighters. He needs to stop that straight away. I've been saying this, you know, for a long, long time. Stop doing that. Don't do it anymore. But he's going to keep on doing it because he knows it's a massive draw. He's still going to do the Mike Tyson fight, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? Because most people would say it's a ridiculous fight, right? Why would you go and do that? But he's doing it for the big draw. So business sense, it makes perfect business sense, right? The eyes of the world are going to be on him, right? Pay-per-views are going to be sold left, right and centre. But he's not a boxer. It's not a boxing competition. And for that, he's an embarrassment. His whole strategy is an embarrassment. And actually, he should be a lot more advanced than he actually is. He should be with proper boxing coaches who say, actually, no, we shouldn't be going after these guys. You should be going after somebody who's either at the same level as you or just slightly a little bit better or slightly a little bit less than you, so that you can improve, so they can expose your weaknesses, so we can work on those. That's the thing that you need to do. If you're going to improve as a boxer, each fight you need to basically take a step up. Just keep on climbing the ladder. And what he's done, he jumped onto the scene and fighting a couple of influencer fights. Then he started to get into this MMA fighting and he's hit this plateau. And every now and again he tries to peak up a little bit just to go to the next stage up. But he keeps on coming back down to where the money is, to where the audience is, to where, you know, he's going to get the biggest pull. And again, this is not boxing. Now, you could say, oh, on my head, son, or Alf, my name's Alf, right? You know, you say, oh, Alf, you know, you're just being sore, you're just being a hater. Well, I say I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one, because there are lots of YouTube channels out there. There are lots of people out there on the internet who're saying how great Jake Paul is, and, you know, the EA should be defending him, and Mike Perry is a, you know, man of steel and all this kind of stuff. No, he's a terrible, terrible boxer. But Turkey Al Sheikh, right? He's the one who immediately tweeted, I believe, saying, this isn't boxing. This isn't boxing. This is not boxing. And this is exactly it. It isn't boxing. If you wanted to be a proper boxer, if you want to conceive yourself as a proper boxer who's trying to climb the ladder and trying to improve, then you need to get in with better opponents who can actually box and not just bring a name, not just bring an audience, and not just be in there for a payday. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But Jake Paul, what an embarrassment. And you know what? Until he fights a proper boxer of the same age, of the same weight, you know, all these kinds of things, of the same kind of level that he is at, then I'll be like, okay, fine, I'll watch it. But until that point, I'll just wipe my hands off him. Completely wipe my hands off. And I think you should do too. It's just a complete joke. He's a joke. Absolute joke. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And we'll catch you again on another video coming very soon when I get out this sweatbox. Ta-da. Francis Ngannou is just a sore loser. Let's get into this one. Hello, welcome to Me Edson. Hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Francis Ngannou has just recently gone on to the Joe Rogan podcast, and there's a section there where he's talking about, you know, going into the fight with Tyson Fury and then going into the fight with Anthony Joshua. We know what happened. He shocked the world with Tyson Fury, a very under par Tyson Fury. He didn't take him seriously, let's say, and, you know, he was a lot better than everybody thought he was going to be, but then he got figured out straight away. He went against Anthony Joshua and he was demolished within a couple of rounds. So the point here is, as soon as he, you know, the next day, let's say, Francis Ngannou started saying, no, I didn't feel right. Something wasn't right. I was really tired. I was really flat and everything. And he's gone into a lot more detail now about the way he was made to be waiting around, and the courtesy cars didn't arrive on time, and the schedule kept on being put back on fight night. So there are two things that strike me. First of all, it shows that there's a bit of inexperience here to operate in the boxing arena, where you can easily be delayed a few hours, on a fight card as well. So, that's one thing. And having to wait around, well, maybe Anthony Joshua and his team, they exploited that. But Francis Ngannou and his team were kind of a bit naive to that as well. So, there's a lot of saying, I was really tired and everything. We were delayed unnecessarily or whatever, and there's something not quite right here, and conspiracy theories abound and all that. But at the same time, it was the same for Anthony Joshua. Or at the same time, he managed that better than you did. That's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider is that he, in this podcast, is kind of blaming the organisation, the Riyadh season, Turki Al-Sheikh, for some shenanigans going on behind the scenes about delaying him and everything like that. Now, the question was put to him, were you kind of doped? Do you think you've eaten something wrong? Do you drank something, something in it? And he's like, yeah, I can't prove it. I can't, prove it. Maybe it was just the fatigue, whatever. In his mind, he thinks that there's something wasn't right. Now, absolutely right. It might be that something wasn't right. And there's so many times where athletes, they peak too early or they peak too late or whatever it is, and they're off. And this happens quite a lot. The art of, especially in boxing, but certainly any competitive sport, let's say racing, athletics, whatever, you need to peak at the right time so that you maximize your performance at that given moment. Now, a few hours here and there, we're usually talking about swings of 2 or 3 days or a couple of weeks or whatever it is where you're not quite centered. Whereas he's saying, no, it's about 2 or 3 hours here and there. And I don't buy that. I don't buy that, your fatigue is going to be like that. So perhaps he was doped in some way, but he can't prove it. And it's a big claim to say. But also, now you've said it, you've kind of alienated yourself to Riyadh season, Turki Al-Sheikh and all the whole organisation, because he's blaming the organisation. Okay, so that's one thing. And I implore you to go and watch this Joe Rogan podcast with Francis Ngannou, the very latest one. The other thing that really struck me was that he was saying that when he fought to Tyson Fury, everybody underestimated him. They didn't think he was a threat, and all these kinds of things. And this is Francis Ngannou. I think he lost once in the MMA early in his career, but he's never lost. He's not used to losing, right? So he goes in with Tyson Fury. He overachieves. He catches Tyson Fury by surprise. And he is very, very bullish, right? And he's on cloud 9. He then gets another fight with Anthony Joshua, which was never on the cards, right? It should never have happened anyway, because Anthony Joshua was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder, had a bit of major hiccup against Joseph Parker, of course, and we all remember that. So this was why it kind of opened up for Anthony Joshua against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou went in there very, very buoyant. Anthony Joshua could see how he was fighting, but they also studied him in his MMA stand-up fighting as well. They exploited his weaknesses, and within 2 rounds he was out there. But the interesting thing was in the very first round, when he got knocked over, Francis Ngannou said, yeah, I was hit, and I felt the punch. It hit my glove first, and then it hit me. But it wasn't the punch that put me down. There was something else quite wrong. And I'm just like, hold on a minute. And, you could kind of tell that Joe Rogan was going, so it wasn't the punch that put you down. Are you sure about that? You listen to Joe Rogan's podcast quite a lot. And, when he kind of does, when he kind of thinks, you sure about that? He's not buying it either. He got hit by a very solid right hand by AJ, and he went down, and that's as simple as that. In the second round, he came out, and he was clobbered again, and he went down. Good night, Vienna. But he's saying that he couldn't remember anything from getting up off the stool, after the first round. And Joe Rogan was saying, well, this concussion, go back, your memory lapse. He said, well, no. To me, he's not buying it. He doesn't understand what's happened to him. And even to this day, he still doesn't buy it. He still can't get into his mind, can't accept the loss to Anthony Joshua in the manner in which it happened. He feels because he was UFC heavyweight champion, he went in with Tyson Fury, he was given an opportunity that no other person has ever been given to fight for a world title against Tyson Fury, and everything was on the line, and you know he almost won, right? And very much under par Tyson Fury, but take nothing away from Francis Ngannou. But he wasn't a threat. He says he wasn't a threat, or that they thought he wasn't a threat. When he went into Anthony Joshua fight, then all of a sudden there was a lot of expectation that they were all prepared, right? So he's never known defeat. And whilst he lost to Tyson Fury, it was more of a victory. It was more of a moral victory. So he's very much on cloud nine. He goes in against Anthony Joshua, and AJ does the business on him like we all thought Tyson Fury should have done. And now we see AJ do it and think, well, that's what should have happened. That's what happens when you get into a boxing ring with somebody who knows what they're doing, who's at that level, world title level. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, it doesn't matter how hard you are, you're never going to match them. No way. And he can't understand that. He can't understand that. He's got this whole MMA career. He's got this whole fight with Tyson Fury. He gets in with AJ, and it's that. Now, you could say I'm a bit of a hater. I'm not. Absolutely not a hater. But what I don't get is how somebody can be quite dismissive of the result, and also kind of really blaming the way he was feeling and everything else. It's almost like he just can't accept it. And, you know, for me, he probably needs to have a wider conversation here. And, you know, what's the future now for Francis Ngannou with the Riyadh season take shake, especially after, you know, he's basically accused them of, well, shady tactics. You know, that's pretty much what he said. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But, you know, for me, Francis Ngannou just needs to accept that defeat, and he needs to accept the level that he was actually at. And he's not a world title. As I say, I've said it before, he was very, very fortunate to get the first shot with Tyson Fury. This is purely on name recognition only. This is purely on a gimmick fight, as it were. That's all it was. He was extremely lucky to get the second fight against AJ again. But, you know, they tried to build it up as something, but it wasn't. It was never going to be, because AJ is just so much of a class above. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. Right, I need to go and have a shower. Ta-da. 10 days to go until the fight between Derek Chisora and Joe Joyce. What does Chisora go and do? Get into little fisticuffs in the street. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On My Head, son. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So I have to chuckle because Derek Chisora, a couple of days ago, as it were, he got into little fisticuffs in the streets of London. And actually ended up headbutting, was it some kind of delivery kid? And yeah, he was let off because apparently he wasn't at fault. Well, you know, whatever happens. The problem is there's two issues here. First of all, if you're any kind of celebrity, a sporting celebrity or whatever, people are always going to try their luck with you, let's say. They're always going to try and take advantage, and especially if you're a boxer, you're always going to get some kind of idiot coming up to you. So really, you need to kind of separate yourself away from that. Just be very mindful of that. But if somebody's coming at you, what are you going to do? You really have to defend yourself, I suppose. But at the same time, you've got yourself into a situation which you really didn't need to be doing. I mean, why are you kind of prancing around the streets of London when you really should be really preparing for a fight? Now, what's the mindset here going into a big fight with Joe Joyce? Is he really focused on the fight? That's another question for me. Should he just be hiding away in a gym somewhere and really focusing? Or should he just be walking the streets and trying to be, you know, the Duke of Wellington or something like that? Just say, look, hello. And then all of a sudden somebody doesn't like him, starts throwing a few rotten apples at him, and he ends up headbutting them. Look, that's what's going to happen. He's a public figure. He's definitely in the public eye now, right? Because he's got a fight coming up. But also, he kind of has this sort of way about him sometimes. He does get into a bit of trouble. He does say a few things every now and again. And most people are not going to say anything to Chisora because guess what? Well, he's Derek Chisora, right? You probably get a slap and it will hurt a lot. But at the same time, it's about professionalism. He's going into a fight and he should be focused on that. He shouldn't be entertaining anything like this, and he shouldn't be getting involved in any kind of argument that may lead up to it. From what I understand, obviously there was a disagreement between the delivery guy and him. There's a bit of grabbing, and then Chisora sort of warned the guy just to get off him, and then he ended up headbutting him. Well, before that even started, he should have been backing away, just going away, just pushing the guy out the way and just walking away from the situation, not getting into any kind of argument, because anything could have happened there. Somebody could have, well, the worst case scenario, let's say somebody could have got a weapon, somebody could have got a knife, he could have got injured, somebody could have got seriously injured, of course, and that's bad enough. But from Derek Chisora's point of view, he could have got injured, not even just by a weapon, just by his hands or whatever, and that would have put the fight against Joe Joyce in jeopardy. So from whichever angle you look at this, it's not a good look. It's something that maybe Derek Chisora couldn't avoid, but he probably should have avoided it. Do you know what I mean? It's something that just happened. What's he going to do? But at the same time, he has to be really mindful. And this is not just him. This is all sports, men and women, some kind of celebrities, actors. When you're in the public arena, then also, there are some idiots out there, some crazy people out there as well. And unfortunately, that's why you see all these big celebrities walking around with security all the time, for this very reason. It's because you get members of the public who just don't know the boundaries, and then all of a sudden things like this happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Chisora is now escorted with security wherever he goes, just for this very reason. But listen, he's got a fight coming up against Joe Joyce. Let us know your thoughts on that. Is it the ideal preparation for this fight? I certainly don't think so. But there you go. You never know. Derek Chisora might headbutt Joe Joyce in the ring. This could be just training. It could just be training. Silly me. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now. It's the Juggernaut against War. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to me, Edson. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Joe Joyce against Derek Chisora. It's happening 27th of July at the O2 in London. Who's going to win? These two senior statesmen of the heavyweight boxing world, of the British heavyweight boxing scene. They've been around for a while. Derek Chisora certainly has had his world title shots. Joe Joyce came late to the party, and he seemed to be going great guns. Then all of a sudden he fell off the edge of a cliff, especially against Zhili Zhang. So he's on the rebuild as well. But there are no spring chickens. Is this the fight that either of them really need? Should Derek Chisora have hung up his gloves already? What about Joe Joyce? Should he have just said, no, enough's enough. That's enough for me. Let me go and do something else. What else could they do? We don't know, right? So that's for them to make this decision. It's not that I'm necessarily concerned for their well-being in this fight. I'm just a bit concerned that, does anybody really want to watch this fight? Are we really that interested? Yeah, you might be a fan of Derek Chisora, you might be a fan of Joe Joyce in terms of what they once brought to the party, what they once brought to the ring. But Derek Chisora's last fight wasn't that great. It wasn't a great performance, even by his own admission. Joe Joyce's wasn't that great, certainly against Zhili Zhang. His return fight against Cash Ali, it was wide open. A better fighter would have caught him quite easily. So it'd be interesting to see if they've managed to improve themselves a little bit, but I doubt it, especially Joe Joyce. He's always been known for leaving himself wide open. So who's going to win out of these two? Who's going to come out top? Is that going to be a knockout? For me, I would say Derek Chisora is the better boxer. He's a more accomplished boxer. Now, it's whether his age and his conditioning might get in the way. But I would still put my money on Derek Chisora over Joe Joyce. All he has to do is attack the left side of Joe Joyce. He's wide open. and it's game over. And it could be a round 5, round 6 knockout. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But if Joe Joyce, does he have a chance against Derek Chisora? And do you even care? And should they say at the end of this fight, that's it, enough's enough. I've had my long time in the sun and now it's time to go to pastures new. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.